recently, Mr. Trump said that I guess the terms that people are using is declare war on the housing market for whatever reason. And that he wants to ban big investors from buying homes. And I want you to take a minute. As a logical person that you are, take a few seconds to think about this. What is Donald Trump's primary source of his wealth? It's real estate. He is that big investor that he is trying to. We can talk about all the economics that goes around housing. We could do that. We could talk about how it's the largest wealth building asset in America for most households. Yes, we could talk about that. We could talk about how it supports millions of jobs in the United States of America. You know, people who build homes, people who do carpeting, flooring, roofing, you know, banks, which I work at a financial institution. It supports my job. Housing supports my job. Like mortgages support my job. We could talk about all of that. We could talk about the economy, like the economics of you know, the loans, even the credit card thing that he said a few days ago. Like he thinks about putting a 10% cap on credit cards. We could talk about all that. We could talk about the impact, but and specifically for housing, why would a big real estate investor like Trump, which I am certain his buddies, the people who invested in him, are likely invested in real estate. His third biggest investment came from securities and investments. Why would Donald Trump stop the people who donated $246 million to him? And I've not seen anyone discuss this before. This is my own thoughts. Why would he stop those people from investing in the market, which is how they make their money? Why would he do that? Just to help the American people when his promise was to help them, and he hasn't done that. Everything so far he's done is benefits. We could argue that it benefits more of the people that are in his class, the rich people. I know the midterms are coming up, and people are looking for votes and so forth and so on. People are making promises, just to gather those votes and just to make sure that they can win a few states. Because shit is looking grim out here. I just have questions, mostly. I don't have the answers. I mostly have questions. Why would somebody who is a billionaire from real estate, mind you, maybe Trump has other businesses that I'm not aware of, but from what I know, most of his wealth is in real estate. He is that big investor that he is trying to stop from investing in real estate. Maybe we're talking about like single family homes and so forth and so on. That is a different, you can categorize it differently than building a portfolio of hotels and, resort homes. Sure, we could talk about that. But securities and investments in general, his biggest donors, like I keep saying, these people have people in their ears telling them how to move and what to do and what laws they support. $246 million is not donated just because they're good friends. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's expecting a return on their investments. Oh, I was blocking it. That's just pure finance. People who are in securities and investment, they understand finance. They understand the, time value money. They understand if they're spending money today, it better be worth $400 million tomorrow. This is not you and I who know who's gonna give a friend $10 and just say it's okay, bro. It's $10. No. Why would Trump do that? Like he's so good-hearted. Like he's such a good-hearted man. He is looking out for the best interests of the American people. He must be. I don't know what the play here is. My point is, like I keep saying, life is a game. What game is he playing with this announcement? Even with the 10%, that shit came out of fucking nowhere. That 10% credit card cap came out of nowhere. Why? Would it help Americans? Yes. But his donors would not benefit from that. The economy, I keep saying that, econ, the macroeconomics of the country would not benefit from him capping credit card spending, not spending credit card interest at 10%. It just doesn't make any sense. The banks never lose money. Trust me on that. Interest income makes majority of the banks, income, because when they give you out a loan and when you are doing spending on your credit card, the amount you are paid in interest, they use that income to pay their employees, to make investment into, to grow the portfolio of the bank, to make out loans. The bank is not going to lose on that sweet interest. Yeah, you can cap it at 10%, but guess what? They're going to find another way, They're going to find another way to get some of that money out of you. Sure, do that 10%. Maybe now when you applying for a credit card, there's some new, because finance is always working. Finance is never sleeping. The dollar is always looking for more interest. The dollar is always looking for more money, for more dollars. Basic finance principle. The dollar is going to go wherever it's earning the most. You cap it at 10%, they're going to find a new way. Maybe it's less rewards. Maybe every card now that you get becomes you got to pay monthly just to get that card. Start giving people less and less money, available credit. There are so many ways. I'm just saying there are so many ways. And the benefit, because the system is already too far gone, man. It's already too far gone. Like, you can't, I know it's for a year, but a lot could happen in a year. If the bank interest income diminishes, which it would, right? Just from its credit card portfolio, it has to make that money from somewhere else. Because the bank doesn't want to lose money. They want to keep their revenue increasing and their profit increasing year over year. I'm not saying it's right, but that's just the thinking of people who work in finance. Anyways, I think my line of thinking is just that maybe there is something that we don't see. And there quite literally there is trillions of dollars in mortgages out there. We can even talk about how income in the United States have increased from 2000 to 2022. 78% is the number. We could also talk about home prices and how it has increased 170%. The income is not keeping up with the home prices. And it's like, why now? Is there a game that's being played that we don't see? And also it's a promise. It's not an act yet. It's just a thing that is, oh, we're gonna do that. And I think as the people should already have had enough of this. We should come to a point to where we have enough of the words Where's the action? Which is what I've been preaching forever. When people say something, if even you watching this, you have the ability, you have the brain, you have the capacity, you have the right to question, you have the right to change your opinion. You have the right to say no. I don't believe you. Until you actually perform an action behind that. Will this benefit me? Yes. Limiting the amount of people, like limiting the amount of, big Wall Street investors who are just jacking up prices, which we saw over the during the pandemic. There, especially in Florida. I'm from Florida. They were making ridiculous amount of offers on houses. $500,000 for a house that was just worth $200,000. They're jacking the prices of the homes. They're pricing out people like you and I from buying housing. Like especially, young Gen Zers and millennials. We are getting priced out. Will that benefit from this? Yes. But like in reality, Trump is a real estate investor. Is he gonna do something like this to benefit you and I? Come on, bro. Be for real. Be for real. Be for real. Like, I personally don't believe it, but if it does happen, sure, it could be good. But the banks won't let this happen because this happening means that the bank gets less money.
Tonight, President Trump is threatening to ban institutional investors from buying single-family homes. Trump is arguing that corporate real estate ownership is driving up housing prices for Americans. But critics say large investors own just 1% to 3% of single-family homes across the U.S. And others say the government needs to do more to improve affordability for first-time home buyers. According to the National Association of Realtors, the median price of an existing home in the U.S. now tops $400,000 with mortgage rates near 6%. So for more on this,
that's the same thing too. Like, this is the other thing. Be smart, man. Like a $500,000 3-bedroom house. It doesn't matter what the freaking rates are. The rates could be 2%. That's still like a $500,000 house for like a 2-bedroom apartment. Like, if the house is overpriced, the house is overpriced. It doesn't matter what the rate is. The rate does matter over time, of course. The rate does matter, but you are overpaying for a 2-bedroom apartment. That's literally $500,000. The numbers just aren't making sense. If housing right now is just unreachable for a lot of people, the amount of money you have to put down on a $500,000 house is just more and more and more and more and more. People are not making that much money to save enough money, especially student loans, especially if they're taking 15% of your wages off top, garnishing 15% off top of your wages. How are you gonna save enough money to put down for a $500,000 house or a $500,000 apartment if they're already taking 15% of your wages? Our generation is cooked. Like, we have no choice. We have no way out.
I want to bring in senior economist at Realtor.com, Jake Krimmel. He joins me now. Jake, thank you for your time. But listen, the president's statements come amid an affordability crisis for first-time home buyers. I'm curious, how could this change the current market?
Well, I think, unfortunately, this policy proposal in and of itself is not really going to move the needle very much for first-time home buyers or for the market in general. And, the big question here is, are large-scale institutional investors crowding out prospective home buyers? Are they the reason for our housing shortage and for the affordability crisis? And the answer is no. And so
that's the other thing, too. Like, the supply in the market is very low. Like, currently, even though I have, mortgage on my name and whatnot, like, I move out of state, I am renting, and the rent prices are ridiculous for the crap that you see. Like, I live in the middle of nowhere. Like, first of all, I live all the way up north. I moved from Florida all the way north, live in the middle of fucking nowhere. The housing, like, for a 2-bedroom or 1-bedroom, $1,500. The kitchen is a mess. Like the kitchen is those white stoves. those white burner stoves, like the electric coil stuff, the white fridge. You know what I'm talking about. Like really busted place 1500. We don't have enough supply on the market. Like homes are not being built fast enough. Like quality homes, and even the ones that are being built, they're being like shoddy work. Anyways, man, there's more problems than that. I think it's a good move. Could it be a good move? Yes, but I don't think it's the biggest problem.
Although these trends of institutional investors, they grab headlines. Large corporate ownership, it does sound very spooky, but it's a bit of a red herring when it comes to the broader supply and affordability debate.
Well, and listen, I mean, we hear those stats about large investors being 1 to 3%, but also, that 1 to 3% might be concentrated in a major market like in Atlanta or one of these other metropolitans. So, is it possible that, maybe not overall there's an impact, but certainly you could see it regionally?
Yeah, I think there is some nuance to be discussed here, and you're right to bring up those Sunbelt markets. Atlanta and Charlotte, I think, for example, are some of the two of the markets where institutional investor activity has historically been quite high. However, in those Sunbelt markets in particular right now, what we're seeing is the markets are already quite soft, and inventory has been growing there in the existing home and new home markets already. So on one hand, the markets there are moving in the right direction as far as affordability, as far as becoming more buyer friendly. But even so, we haven't seen prices come down all that much. I think things are moving in the right direction in those markets, but I think that's largely due to the regular market forces as opposed to institutional investor activity.
Well, and we have a lot of finger pointing in this affordability debate, but I'm curious. I mean, in your estimation, what really is the major factor when it comes to housing shortages?
I think from a housing economist, this is no surprise that it's going to come down to supply, housing shortages, and the inability to build new homes at large scale en masse in areas where folks want to live. And so that's, again, no easy, it's a big endemic problem, and there's no silver bullet solving it. It's going to be something that unravels.
Maybe, just maybe, that 1.5 trillion we're adding, the 500 billion we're adding into the military budget, maybe we could use that to build more homes. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know if the government, maybe they could lend out loans for new people who are interested in building, and building their first home. Make it more accessible. Because supply is a thing, like supply and demand, like that's very basic. Again, I don't have all the answers on how to make it better. And even my proposal might not be the best. I'm sure you could argue against that. Like, why would the government subsidize that? I mean, they subsidize our education and make it so that we can declare bankruptcy on it and then garnish our wages when we're not even getting paid enough.